And I think the interesting thing going on in Israel today is around this topic. We are creating more and more values-based companies that are important to humanity and not just to the bottom line. And I think the differentiator potentially right now at this moment in history, 2018, which was going on in Israel and what's going on in Silicon Valley, is a lot more than was even 2 years ago. The entrepreneurs I'm seeing here want their business to make a lot of money, because you don't start a company if that's not some goal. However, these are values-driven businesses. When you wake up, you don't have to tell the jury your healthy IO in the middle of the night. He's reducing what he calls a tapeworm, or Warren Buffett's called it too, the tapeworm of healthcare spending costs in the United States and around the world. We can reduce that cost by letting people do urine tests, he says, on their telephones. Okay? When you talk to Nexar, yes, they are creating the largest vehicle-to-vehicle network, or over-the-top vehicle-to-vehicle network around the world. What's the mission? We're going to save lives by doing it, and here's the video evidence that proves that we're saving lives. Those values and those mission statements scale. They enable you to recruit the talent and the capital you need in order to do that. And it really matters. And I think as a brand and as a country, more important than Startup Nation, by the way, is Impact Nation. And the chance to really make a global impact. There's an amazing woman, some of you may know her, called Sivan Yari. Everyone knows Sivan Yari? She's about 5'1", I think. And she has hooked up more African homes to electricity than anyone you know. Takes Israeli innovation, some solar panel, something, goes to Arab villages, gets it donated, and got a cell phone and medicines and penicillin, this, that, and the other. That's the ability to create impact, and she's drawing lots of people along with her. And I think that's an aspirational tagline we can think about as we try to scale this ecosystem. Now, I mentioned talent before, and I specifically referred to engineering talent. But now I want to go to what I think is lacking, which is management talent. And a lot better people than me, Iran here, Intel people here, can tell you about how to build scalable systems. That's on the technology side. Where I may have a little bit of insight is in scalable teams. So we're in this funny phase of industry right now where we've moved over like agile computing, and there's this notion of squads. And we need to iterate really quickly, but we need to make things scalable at the same time. And people like Lemonade and others, companies like Lemonade and others, are iterating around different models for how you enable engineering teams and product teams to scale. Squads, pods, they got 9 million names for this at this point. But the important thing is to build scale as value in from the beginning. And then to attract the talent that can not only scale itself, but can teach scale in your organization. For my 25 years or so doing the venture business, the first 18 of which it was really difficult for Israeli startup companies to scale. We all sold out. The problem was management, not ambition. We did not think it was important as an industry, one, to build scale into the system from the beginning. I'm not talking about the technology system, I'm talking about the management system. Two, we did not think it important enough to hire talent who had seen scale before and who was able to teach and replicate themselves in doing that scale. Now, because of ubiquitous computational devices around, you actually can scale today a lot faster than maybe you thought. It's hard to plan for this. It kind of just starts to happen. If you don't think early enough about bringing those talented folks in who know how to scale, you're going to get hamstrung, you're going to get stuck. There was a great piece written by Eugene Wei, I'm sure some of you must have seen this, about the hidden asymptote, right? Which is, what's out there on the horizon where I know my growth is going to be inhibited? And how do I think about it? It's going to stop my scale. The hidden asymptote for most Israeli companies that we see is lack of management talent around scaling. And we don't have enough of it in this country right now to get after it. But we need to think about, as an industry, and each of you as an engineer and entrepreneur is to think about, How do I train, or where do I go get that management talent that enables me to scale my organization to not just the next level, but the level beyond? How do I teach that inward, or enable other people to teach that inward into the organization? And by the way, something that I don't think was true even 5 years ago, if you need to go abroad to somewhere, United States, and go find somebody with that talent and bring it to Israel, you'd be shocked to find out they'll come today. That wasn't always the case. People will move here for time. We're moving people here, and they're not Israeli. We're coming 2 years, 4 years, some who stay longer, to come bring their talents to this country to help scale companies, to help think scale. One of the hard things when you live in a small country is scale looks like 8.5 million people. But scale is really 400 million people, or 1.5 billion people, or 1.3 billion people in India. And it's hard to think in these quantums, but it's critically important because the devices, all of them, the mobile ones, the slightly more fixed ones, just like a desktop today, are everywhere, and you can get on them, but you must be able to manage that scale up. We are seeing a tragic, almost, number of companies who are running up against this not so hidden EISENBERG anymore, where they can't find the talent, they haven't thought about, how do I scale my engineering team? How do I scale my product team? You had Wix earlier? Did you have Wix today? No. When I was on the board of Wix, this is what we talked about, okay? How do we build in ahead of time, the talent and the management structure and the processes to scale up to 100 million users, 1 billion users? That has got to be a board and management discussion years before it happens. You need to believe you will get there. Don't be skeptical or cynical about it. Believe you can get there, and then build the people, the processes, etc. It takes time to recruit these people. It takes time to train the processes. It takes time to teach an organization that is going to scale. We're still human beings, we learn slowly. You must think about these things from the beginning. You must think about these things before they overwhelm you. And you must think about these things across the organization. I know this is a developer conference, but I'm going to make this point, which is internet marketing has become a thing. By the way, in this country, we're actually really good at it. Really, really good at online marketing. It's part of what generated the whole ad tech thing. Really, really good. The conversation is often broken between engineering and marketing, but they're the best predictor of scale. They kind of know when they crack it. And so, creating those bridges between engineering and marketing, product engineering and marketing, is critical for anticipating that scale. It's critical for figuring out when do I got to put the pieces in place actually to do it. One piece of advice, always do it 6 months before you think you need to. Meg Whitman once said 9 months before. Either way, put it in place before you need to. And have those conversations. Those are important, is how you get there. And just to tie this all together, we live in an incredibly noisy era. We're flooded with Facebook, flooded with Twitter, flooded with WhatsApp, flooded with SMS. It's talking about information overload. It's not even an apt description of what this is like today. And so getting to the top of people's, and I say that in a B2B context or B2C context, agenda is incredibly difficult. What helps you scale, I talked about the values before, is how you reflect those values in a brand. Brand matters today more than it ever mattered before. Despite the fact that even if you're a nobody, you can expose yourself to 1 billion people. So you say brand will matter less. To cut through the noise, brand matters more than it ever did before. Amazon as a brand matters. And so, even when you think about engineering and scaling engineering, it's your brand in the eyes of engineers, what you respect, what you represent, what you reflect, what you teach inside, how you think about that scale, that'll ripple through. People are like lemonade. This is an example. With engineers as well. People want to get on the bus because of what Lexar Lemonade, what WeWork represents as a brand. So WeWork, and with this I'm going to finish, I think it's important, hired 100 engineers since they started here in Israel. I think it's about 12 or 18 months. I don't remember how long we've been here. And so I had the fortune of being with the guy who runs the place, Ron Gura, used to be in the Aleph, and I said, how do we do it? And what he said was, the brand really resonates. The we of WeWork really resonates. It's about to say something else. It's the opportunity to impact people at a global scale today that talks to those people. Scale in and of itself, the ability to touch them where they are, multiculturally, in many places in the world, is attracting engineering talent to try on those problems. It's why Facebook and Google still do such a good job of holding on to people still. These massive scale problems are themselves a branded attraction for engineering talent to get on board. And for the first time, since I've been doing venture capital, the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, as an engineering ecosystem here in Israel, innovation ecosystem here in Israel, we're getting the opportunity to touch people in China and India and Dublin and London and New York and San Francisco and Sao Paulo and Mexico City all at the same time. That's attractive, both internally and to recruit talent to scale up this ecosystem. And I encourage you to think that way from the first day. From the day before you walk into the venture capitalist office, think, my company, here's the values it's going to take us. Here's the systems and structures that it's going to take us. Because we can touch 8 billion people around the world from here. We can impact 8 billion lives from around here. And we're going to think scale and recruit the talent that's taken for scale in order to achieve that already from day one. Build it into your DNA from day one. It's critical. Thank you.
If there are any questions, we still have a few minutes. Michael can answer a few.
Just put the smile in there.
I can think of a question for that. You speak of the values and how important they are in the industry today. Do you think that shows maybe, I might be a bit political here, but do you think that shows that a certain percentage of the population that's more involved in venture capitalism, in the high-tech industry, is seeing itself more as part of the world, less so maybe local?
No, I think it's an opportunity to influence the world. And we joked when we raised Aleph, but it's not a joke, that we wanted to build big scalable companies from Israel. We joked one Nexar, just an example, to plant the Israeli flag in the front. But we're not serving 8.5 million people. We want to serve 8 billion people. And I don't know if that means that they disconnect or connect. It means, we think we got people in technology and innovation around machine learning, machine vision, AI, etc., that can have a positive impact on 8 billion people's lives. I think that's a wonderful thing. We should applaud that and laud that. That's important.
Anyone? Thank you so much.
Thank you.